August the 27th, 2023. Guys, you're looking at the latest update, which was at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. There will be a new one up soon, but this is from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida. To the right are two storms that are pretty much going to be non-effective to the U.S. Now, this storm right here is basically a zero chance of formation. This storm is a 20% chance, but notice it came off of the nation of Africa, and it is crossing the Cabo Verde Islands. Usually when they are that high up along the African coast, when they come into the water, they will turn north. The ones that stay a little further south will come out down in this area and enter the Caribbean. So these two we'll keep an eye on. But Franklin now, guys, is a Cat 2. The winds are at 100 miles per hour. Now, Cat 2 is from 96 to 110. At 111 miles per hour, you're dealing with a Cat 3. And I think that we're going to see that quicker than they were expecting initially. But it is moving northwest at 8 miles per hour. Still expected to make that loop around Bermuda. But remember, a lot of the models now, guys, are showing a dive close to that. Let's check that out. Now, this is the location as of 11 a.m. Sunday. This is at AST Atlantic time, and it's about an hour, if I'm not mistaken, ahead of Eastern time. Anyway, this was the location then. The orange area is where they're experiencing tropical storm winds. They go out that far. Of course, you got Cat 2 winds much closer in. At 8 a.m. Monday, tomorrow morning, it's supposed to be a Cat 3 and remain a major hurricane until it's already done the damage on Bermuda, because the storm will be far out in front of it, and the strongest side will be this side of it. So by the time it goes back to possibly a Cat 2 in cooler waters, you guys are already going to experience the brunt of it. Not only that, what you'll feel are the waves and swells and wind from it being a Cat 3, because the inertia of the storm pushes out in front of it. Even though you have a decline in wind speed at the center, the initial output of the storm, or the inertia of it, has already been thrown out there. So remember that. You're going to be basically in a Cat 3, very bad weather. You're also, everyone along the East Coast, they're talking about much higher waves and swells coming in. That means you're going to have more rip currents, and that's where people lose their lives. So be very careful there. Now, this update, guys, came out 29 minutes ago at 10 a.m. Central Time right there. This is the one that's going to bring some trouble both to us and to the East Coast, guys, because it's going to strengthen rapidly according to some of the models once it steps back out into the Atlantic. But, guys, 10 a.m. this morning, 27 minutes ago, the storm is located here. What it did overnight was it was stationary in the last video, but it drifted south. Now it's starting to drift east slightly. The movement east at 2 miles per hour. See that? So that it's going to make that turn, and it's going to head north. You've got tropical storm warnings both in the Yucatan and western tip of Cuba. By 7 p.m. Tuesday, it's predicted to become a hurricane and start coming ashore, really feeling the effects. It's saying 7 a.m. Wednesday, but after midnight, guys, wherever it's coming in and it's shifting back and forth, it will not be 7 a.m. Wednesday when you start feeling this thing. So when you go to bed Tuesday night, you need to be either out of town, extremely hunkered down, and your head on a swivel. Now, it's currently at 35 miles per hour. Now, even though it's at 35 miles per hour sustained wind speed, they have it listed in the black circle with an S as a tropical storm. Normally that starts at around 39 miles an hour up to 73 miles an hour is where your tropical storms are characterized as far as wind speed. But hurricane again, 7 p.m. Tuesday morning, 7 a.m. very close to coming ashore. But with this track, again, moving out into the Atlantic and right back into warm waters because of the Gulf Stream and re-strengthening. And some of the models show it almost as strong as Franklin at this point. And Franklin will be just on the other side of Bermuda, when this storm comes out here off of North Carolina coast, right in that area. It comes off South Carolina coast, but when it's off the North Carolina coast, the pressure within both storms are very similar, and the pressure inside of possibly Idalia, IDALIA again, will be stronger than the pressure inside of Franklin. We'll take a look at it. Now let's take a look at the Gulf of Mexico satellite images this morning as the sun was rising up into the current image. And you can see where a front is pushing in through here, and I think we've got a little bit of wildfire smoke mixed in with this. Looks like it from the haze, but all of that, guys, is pushing from up here above us this direction. And that is more than likely why this storm here, which again should be Adalia, was pushed back a little further south and is going to recurve and come up like this. But you've got you can see it here in some of the upper level winds and in this section of the Gulf, and you can tell where that front's moving in. By the way, it would be very nice to get some rain from this section here across the southeast. Let's let this play through, and you can see we're already all the way to the Jackson, Mississippi area, and down a little further south in Macomb. You should be starting to see some overcast. That always helps with this temperature. Tomorrow we're going to start getting a cool down here, but this will help us a lot. But now the storm, you can see it's holding together. The center of circulation is right there. So it's stronger on the southern and the eastern flanks as it wraps its way around. Now what's going to happen is it gets away from the Yucatan and Cuba. Nothing is going to be blocking that storm from developing. The front that's coming down will continue, but as Idalia strengthens, it will start creating its own inertia, and it will be as strong as that front in many ways, and you can see it push back. But this is what we got now, guys. Very impressive imaging. God has a beautiful planet. Let's take a look at the wide Atlantic, guys. You can see Franklin here, strengthening very quickly. This is Bermuda right there. And, guys, I just don't feel good about being there. I know a lot of people may not have a choice. You've seen hurricanes before that we have a large naval base, I think a sub base there, something like that. And I'm sure that's hunkered down. But, guys, any of these islands with a storm this size, they can be a dangerous place. Heavy rain, heavy winds, flooding, the whole 9 yards there. You've got other weather coming off of Africa. There's a large section here that they're talking about that we were looking in the 20% chance yellow box that was coming off of Africa. And then here is Idalia. Again, you can tell it's going to be a large storm already. But, guys, when this thing moves up through the Florida and moves out here, Franklin, is only going to be about right here, and they're going to be almost parallel. We're going to take a look at that, and that means that possibly you guys in Bermuda could take the brunt of Franklin and then get hit by Adalia a few days later. Let's check that out. Now, this is Adalia. They already named it, guys, because this is 11:15 a.m. update from Sky Tower 13 down in Florida, and you can see it's 40 miles per hour. Still moving east at 2 miles per hour, but this is a little concerning. The pressure, or barometric pressure, is down to 996 already, and that's pretty strong, guys, for just a tropical storm at 40 miles an hour. Anyway, it will be in the morning at 8 p.m., coming through the straits between Cuba and the Yucatan. Tuesday morning, 8 a.m., 70 mile per hour storm here. Cat 1 hurricane at 8 p.m. Tuesday. That will happen during the day Tuesday, guys, so you'll see the strengthening. And then at 85 miles per hour. Then as it comes into this section of Florida, 90 miles per hour Wednesday at 8 a.m. Now, if it holds to this, guys, you're going to have to be well aware before you go to bed Tuesday night of all your ducks. Make sure they're all in a row. You're not going to, because it's going to start coming in. You'll start seeing the effects of it pushing out ahead of this well before Wednesday at 8 a.m. This thing could be, looking at the barometric pressure, up to a Cat 2, and it will weaken overland and then re-strengthen here. But by Thursday, 8 a.m., down to a 50-mile-per-hour storm because it's been overland, but exiting out of the South Carolina area here as far as the center. Remember, it could be anywhere inside this cone. Then by Friday at 8 a.m., notice it's right here in a direct line, and here's Bermuda right there. And it's supposed to re-strengthen. Let's take a look at that. And guys, I've said for years that when two models that's on this chart start crossing each other, that's when you start paying attention to that area. And what we're seeing now in the purple, which is the Navy model right here, and then the Canadian model, which is a light green, they're crossing right here at Apalachicola. You got Port St. Joe here, Apalachicola. So it's continuing to move back to the west. Few models still have it coming in here. Right in here, when these two models are at crossing, especially at the shore point, it's going to be close to here unless something drastic happens. But right now, I trust these two. Not that they're going to be right there, but they're going to be right together wherever they shift, more than likely. This was updated at Sunday at 8 a.m., so there should be some new models coming out very quickly. And while we're here, let's look at the update from Sky Tower again on Franklin. Currently here is a Category 2. Going to be a Cat 4 by Monday at 8 p.m. right there, guys. Let me say something while we're here. It's 100 miles an hour, north-northwest at 8 miles per hour. But the barometric pressure is 971, and we were looking in the 980s at Adalia already. And that's why I'm thinking, and some of the models are showing how strong it will be at this point as it comes around Bermuda. Let's go there and take a look at it. Begin at Cat 4 by Monday at 8 p.m. Now, before we go there, this has also been updated. Same thing's happening here. The Navy model in purple, guys, and the light green Canadian model are crossing right here, and they're the ones close to your island in Bermuda. So, guys, you better batten down the hatches, and you may not have much time to do any recovery because of Adalia. Now, guys, look, this is the Navy model for the Caribbean. Check this out. We'll let it run through, and then I'm going to stop it at a couple of points. Check that out. Coming back out just probably on the southern end of Nag Heads there. But I want to stop this thing right in here. Check this out. These are rings of pressure. As you get closer to the center, the lower the pressure is, and the color coding is here on the right. 980 and below, you're starting to get into the purple. We're seeing 998 here, 988 here, and then they get so tight in there it's hard to distinguish. But here, you got 988, the last one you can read, but 990, the last one you can read here. And this is in the area of the Cat 4. And look at the size of this one. And the barometric pressure is lower. They're almost identical at this point, except with lower pressure here. Now, the one thing about the Navy model, they do have a vested interest in the weather. And I think that's the Canadians also do. They both have navies. And they have to be as precise as they can because of fleet movement or whatever, right? Or Navy bases along the East Coast especially. But we have Keesler here in Mississippi, down in Biloxi. Florida's lined up with them. Louisiana has them. A lot of it's that. Plus, we just had some refinery fires down in Louisiana. Same place we're seeing all the forest fires now. And they have shut down production, some very large plants. Then now you're going to see this storm in the Gulf of Mexico start to shut down some rigs. You're going to watch the price go up of gas. So if you're planning on fueling up before the storm comes in, it's only going to get more expensive as we go through this period of time. So maybe think about, if you can, go ahead and topping off that, your generators and anything you have. Go ahead and start getting some extra batteries, extra water, bottled water if you don't have the filters, or big jugs of water, and fill up your tubs before this comes ashore, because it's going to take out a lot of power in places that won't have it back for a long time. We hope we don't have another Michael or Ivan out of this, but we're going to have to pay attention to it. Let us go through it one more time. They're starting to re-strengthen as it approaches Bermuda. So you're not going to have many days, let's see, pretty much involved in it here. And before that, this is August the 30th. Now, let's go forward. Here, September the 3rd, 4 days later, is that right? So, guys, what will happen is you'll be a lot of damage from the first storm, and there may not be time to recover and get much shelter or gas or power or anything else before you're having to deal with it. And dealing with it after a lot of damage is done is going to be a lot harder than at least you had some shelter, possibly as the first storm approached you. But now, the coming ashore, I'll let it look one more time, and we'll look at the Adalia on its timing. Here, well into the Gulf, August 29th, 2 days away. It's already starting to strengthen, 998 millibars here, but there's quite a few more when this is 990 out here. Step it forward. Right there, tips are coming ashore, all bets are off, August 30th. The same time, you're starting to catch it in Bermuda, just to kind of let you know at the timing. And fully ashore, still on the 30th. Center of circulation, dead over Apalachicola. But guys, pay attention. Make sure all your preps are in order. Good communication would be nice. If you had CB radios, they could come in really handy, because a lot of models you can plug into your vehicle, or if you have an inverter in your house that steps it down from 110 to 12 volts DC, you could communicate that way. But CB radio is always a very good thing to have, no matter which crisis you're about to deal with, and they're very affordable. We're watching it, you watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.